When one dream dies, which is Sonny Gray, as we just talked about, another one always seems to come to light. And the timing of this report from Bob Nightingale, it's just so ironic, right? I almost knew once Sonny Gray was like, expected to finalize a deal. The reports came out from Rosenthal and Heyman. We expect that to be finalized by the end of the day. That some other rumor was going to pop up. Oh, the Braves are now pivoting to this guy. And that's just kind of how these free agency things work. Once again, I will preface this by saying it's probably more likely than not that it doesn't happen, just like with Aaron Nola and Sonny Gray. But the fact is they are targeting these top of the line starting pitchers. And this one is a trade target that we've talked about several times on this thing. And it's Dylan Cease. He's actually out of all the candidates, the Aaron Nolas, the Sonny Grays, the Yamamotos, my personal favorite is Dylan Cease because I know who Dylan Cease is. I know he's a superstar pitcher. He's from Milton, Georgia, so I do think I know everyone's going to talk about he's a Scott Boras client. They don't sign extensions. Yeah. At the end of the day, these agents work for their players. If this guy comes home and has a preference to stay in Atlanta, a deal can get done. I think that is a possibility. We've seen it work out. This has been the direction that Alex Anthopoulos has taken, and it's worked out time and time again. And I think he's the best pure stuff pitcher on the market. You put him in a rotation with Strider, with Fried, and then you have Dylan Cease and Charlie Morton. Good luck. Like, that's all I'm saying. This offense, hopefully they show up in the playoffs, but you get this deal done. I would be singing. I might cry tears of joy on this program.
Yeah, build the Anthopoulos statue if he works out a deal to get Dylan Cease and bring him home. And I think, he's coming off an underwhelming season, but there wasn't much to write home about in Chicago. The White Sox are a terrible organization. They have a lot of young and exciting pieces, but they're just a terrible organization. And, it's really hard to succeed when your circumstances are like that. So I don't, everybody knows who Dylan Cease is. He's a frontline ace. Cy Young candidate every single year. He's durable. He's under team control for 2 more years. He's got nasty stuff. He's a dream. He's an absolute dream. And you said it, and I said it weeks ago that, if we just look at Alex Anthopoulos' history, the trade and subsequent contract extension has been his MO for the past 2 off seasons. What is going to change now? And I think that even if it isn't Dylan Cease, maybe it's somebody like Corbin Burns who could be had for a little bit less in terms of trade capital. Maybe it's somebody like that, and then a subsequent contract extension. And I think that you also, and I was going to say it myself, and I'm glad you said it, but I want to reiterate the fact that, listen, Scott Boras, he is all what he chalks up to be. I saw a former Marlins GM talk through what it was like negotiating with Scott Boras. And it's hilarious that Boras is like this. But you said it. Boras works for Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease isn't run by Scott Boras. If Dylan Cease wants to be in Atlanta, which we all assume he probably would, he grew up here. He probably grew up a Braves fan. This is a great organization. He's from Milton, Georgia. If he wants to be in Atlanta, he will tell Scott Boras to get a deal done. Scott Boras is not going to be the reason a deal doesn't get done if a trade does happen. And then if Cease does want to be here, I promise it won't be because of Boras. It'll just be because, maybe Cease wants all that money. Or a trade doesn't even come to fruition. Like you began, the likelihood of a Dylan Cease trade coming to fruition is very, very unlikely. I do think that, my meter has really turned hot on Corbin Burns. I think that's who, we're going to go after. I think we'll get a subsequent contract extension like Alex Anthopoulos has done every single offseason for the past 2 off seasons. I think it's right for the taking. The Brewers are selling. Corbin Burns he's going to enter free agency next year. And I think getting ahead of free agency is very, very wise. And who wouldn't, other than, we're talking about Sonny Gray and all those guys who are Sonny Gray in particular, who potentially chose St. Louis over Atlanta. We don't know, but a lot of guys would love to be in Atlanta. It's a world-class organization, world-class fans. The team is set up for championship after championship for the next decade. Who wouldn't want to be here? And getting a guy like Corbin Burns or Dylan Cease, whoever it is, via the trade market is what I expect coming in. It might not be this week, next week, but before the offseason, I just have an inkling that that's what's going to happen.
I think the reason that I think Dylan Cease is a lot more likely, obviously we've mentioned his, from Milton High School, right in the heart of Braves country, couldn't be even any more in the heart of Braves country, but it's because he has those multiple years of control and because he still has 2 years of arbitration left. And there's a hypothetical situation that you can take care of him. One, he's going to get underpaid this year because arbitration, I think, is going to pay him like $9-10 million. And then next year he's going to get underpaid. He'll probably make $20 million if he stays healthy. But with pitchers, health is such a concern that getting a deal done now, getting paid more than you would in arbitration for those 2 years, and getting also that safety net after the fact. Corbin Burnes is much closer to free agency, so it's a lot harder to convince him to be like, oh, take this extension, like, because he's right there. He has one more healthy season. He's making the $250-300 million. Dylan Cease, he's coming off kind of a poor season. Injuries are always a concern. He has 2 more years of arbitration left. So it's a lot easier to go into that negotiation and convince him to take maybe a below market contract, certainly a below market contract if he was able to hit free agency and stayed healthy. But it's a lot easier to convince him because of those 2 years of control. And that's why a lot of the times trading for a guy with 2 more years of control is so important, because it's a lot easier to get him to agree to an extension.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I want to bring up one more facet that Braves fans, particularly on Twitter, are seemingly just not understanding, is the Braves have enough in terms of prospects to get a deal done for Cease or for Burnes or for any, frontline starter that could potentially become available via trade. AJ Smith-Shawver, Hurston Waldrop, Vaughn Grisham, and there's a couple more guys you could sprinkle in, are more than enough to get a deal done like that. And then I want to finish, follow that up with saying, if you will not trade those guys for a guy like Dylan Cease, you're absolutely delusional. Although me and Chase are as high on AJ Smith-Shawver and Hurston Waldrop and Vaughn Grisham as anybody, but the fact of the matter is those guys are not exactly proven commodities outside of Vaughn Grisham. We know the bat plays at the major league level, and Dylan Cease is a superstar, and you're going to hope that AJ Smith-Shawver and Hurston Waldrop turn into those guys? No. This is a proven commodity versus unproven commodities, and the time to win is right now. We got to, I don't want to say sell out, but move the entire earth for somebody like Dylan Cease, because guys like that don't come available every day. So I just want to nix that, right in the butt.
Yeah, I mean, I could sit here thinking about the trade. The Braves built this rebuild through pitching. They literally went out there, and every guy that they went out and acquired was a high pitching prospect. Every guy they went out and drafted was one of the best pitching prospects coming out of college or high school or wherever they came from. Who they traded for was high pitching prospects. And look where we're sitting here today. Where are those guys? Even the great ones. Michael Soroka goes out there, tears his Achilles. He's now on the White Sox. We gave him away for chump change. Kyle Wright, we gave him away for chump change. The only guy left is Max Fried. He might be gone next year. So you're talking about an entire rebuild built on starting pitching prospects that maybe they're not quite as good as Waldrop or AJ Smith-Shawver at their respective points in their development. But this entire rebuild was built off guys like that, and none of them are in the building. Absolutely none of them. So to say that these guys are lottery tickets is an understatement. I mean, they're one injury away from being an absolutely nothing. So it's just, it blows my mind. Everyone that thinks that these guys are going to become stars, and nobody's higher on these guys than I. I have been talking about Waldrop since he was drafted as a star. I was talking about AJ Smith-Shawver before guys even knew who he was. So I am sitting here well aware of what those guys bring to the table. I'm telling you, you're in win now mode. You get a guy with multiple years of control that you can plug and play, and you know he's going to be an ace on your team next year when you already have a couple of aces and you got this lineup. If Dylan Cease walks and Max Fried walks, and you don't get anything out of these guys, but you win a World Series in 2024, and you don't end up with Waldrop and Shaw, I don't give a crap. That's enough to me, and that's going to be a team that's incredibly hard to beat in October, especially with the additions they made to the bullpen. I mean, you're talking about an entire pitching staff just absolutely loaded for the next 2 years. And that's fine with me, because this offense, like we've said, it ain't going anywhere. We'll be able to find starting pitchers. If those guys walk, we'll have money. We'll be able to fill in the pieces, and we're going to have another chance to reload and go at it again. But go at it as hard as you can right now, like you just saw the Texas Rangers do, and win yourself a World Series. And ain't nobody going to be caring about where AJ Smith-Shawver. I hope he wins a Cy Young. I don't even care. Yeah. Go out there and win the Cy Young for the White Sox. We just won the World Series in 2024. It does not matter.
Yeah, trading your soul for a World Series is absolutely worth it. I mean, ask, are the Rams right now, and I know I'm switching leagues, but the Rams sold out to get Matthew Stafford. They acquired Jalen Ramsey. They gave up every draft pick. They gave all these guys huge contracts. They won a Super Bowl. Now they're in the dumps. Do you think they care? They absolutely don't care. Getting a ring is all that matters in any sport, and you have to do everything you can to maximize your chances. And you're talking about two unproven guys versus a Cy Young caliber pitcher. And I thought people were trolling. Like, I thought people were like, oh, I'm not moving those guys. We got two Dylan Ceases in the building. They're dead serious. They're dead serious. I can't even believe what I'm reading. I mean, you wouldn't give up two unproven prospects for a guy that is going to win a Cy Young in the – I mean, it's absolutely mind-boggling what Braves fans are thinking. I mean, this is crazy. I'd give up every single prospect in the farm for a Dylan Cease. I mean, that's how special he is. And that's what he will do for this rotation. He would maximize the Braves championship potential exponentially.
Well, my whole thing is, are you not tired of losing? Like, did you have these last 2 years not showed you anything? Like, do you really want to hope that Hurston Waldrop or AJ Smith-Shawver can come and help you to win in 2024? Do you really want to face the Phillies with AJ Smith-Shawver? Maybe he has a pretty good year starting a playoff game because Charlie Morton or Max Fried or Spencer Strider got injured. Is Bryce Elder going to have to start game 4? Like, are you not sick and tired of losing to your division rival in the playoffs? Because I'm sick and tired of it. I know Alex Anthopoulos is sick and tired of it. That's why he's talking to these guys. That's why he made a big offer for Aaron Nola. That's why, I mean, we don't know what he did for Sonny Gray, but I'm assuming he made some sort of offer there. That's why he's trying to get a frontline starting pitcher. Because guess what, guys? I'm sick and tired of losing. I'm sick and tired of wasting these historic offenses. And I know our offense hasn't showed up the last 2 postseasons, but if you have all-star pitching, occasionally they don't have to show up because that's what happens in the playoffs. Pitching wins in October. So does home runs. Hopefully we'll hit more home runs in the future. But get me a guy like Dylan Cease. You're going to be a damn tough team to beat come October. And that's what I want to be. That is what I want to be. Coming up after the break, we had a huge weekend in college football. We're going to break down some of these rivalry week matchups, including the Iron Bowl.